The correspondence started off by this guy contacting me and asking me about what the situation is in Paraguay in terms of dengue, and particularly as it compares to Mexico. I explained to this chap that dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases are a feature here in Paraguay. The guy then sent back an email and was very appreciative, and he mentioned that because mosquitoes are a feature here, he was going to consider Uruguay as a possible destination to relocate to. I responded back to that email and mentioned that Uruguay would be a good option if you are looking for a very woke digital nation. But if that wasn't something that was on your shopping list, it's probably not the best place to be looking. With that, he sent back a further email. It feels like there is nowhere left to go. I spent a lot of time trying to find the best place to go, where there is no mosquitoes, earthquakes, tornadoes, volcanoes, and low bureaucracy, taxes, low population density, safe, freedom-minded people, no wars in the horizon, room for individual freedom, safe to walk around after dark, low or medium living cost, relatively good weather and not too warm, cold, humid, access to water, possible to buy land, property, and of course, low cost access to residency. My country list is getting very, very short, equals 0. So I guess it's time to start lowering my expectations if I don't want to stay here in Denmark and end in a war zone. What a shit show this world has turned into. The first thing I would say is, yeah, I agree with you. What a shit show this world has become. And I think that we're only just beginning, but that's another story. He says there that he feels as though he needs to lower his expectations. I would say that perhaps it's not a matter of lowering expectations, but maybe adjusting the priority of those expectations, because no country can deliver on every one of those things. Not a country in the world can tick all of those boxes. So it's going to be a matter of working out for all of us what truly is a non-negotiable and what are the things that would be really great, but you know, if they're not there, well, we'll just have to live with them. And this is such a common thing that we encounter. We will regularly receive emails and correspondence from people who ask questions along the lines of, is the globalist trend of X, Y, or Z likely to be seen in Paraguay? For example, will the cost of living be reflected in Paraguay the way other parts of the world are being impacted? The globalist machine can reach into every part of the globe, and it does. In the place where we previously resided, there's almost one cow for every single person in that country, and yet they're paying about 50% more for 100 grams of butter than what they were paying even 12 months ago. So the rate of inflation has gone through the roof in that country, but it's not because of what's going on in the country. It's tied to the globalist price point. And they're going to do that wherever you are, including Paraguay. But it's not only the cost of commodities, it's going to be everything from trends and different things that are going on in the world, different memes and agendas. There's nothing that either isn't in Paraguay or perhaps won't show up as time goes by. So to ask the question, is Paraguay immune from these things? Well, it's probably not even worth considering. Of course, Paraguay is a country that's susceptible as any to coming under the pressure and perhaps influence of forces further afield. But I think the important thing is here to try and find some small victories wherever we can. Try and find whatever good we can from any place that we're considering going to, and trying to assess whether that's enough. But I think it's important to be realistic about what we can really achieve in any country in terms of what we're looking for. Because the fact is, you're going to have to make some compromises somewhere along the line. Another thing that you need to be careful about is something that we see quite regularly, and that is that you'll have a certain criteria of a country that you are considering, and you'll arrive here, and then that criteria will either morph, or it will grow in some way, or it will change, you'll add to it. And all of a sudden, what we sometimes see is that people have come looking for A, B, C, D, and E, and that's great, they found it. And then they arrive here, and then they add on to it. And there's G, H, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. And this really rocks their world and really interrupts their integration into the country that they've moved to. You'll often see these people on social media sites who have been here for some period of time. They're usually the ones who are sniping and trolling and complaining and saying all sorts of derogatory things about the country they've moved to. That's a really unfortunate, regressive mind space to get into, and it's something that you really want to avoid at all costs. If it addresses the criteria that you set for a country that you were looking for, then my recommendation is to be really thankful that you've been blessed to find a country like that, and then just accept that whatever else must be secondary on your list at the very least. They're things of not sufficient importance to rock the boat over, because if they were, you should have identified them before you came and then struck that place off the list, like this chap is suggesting he might do. I would suspect that if this chap really did look at his requirements, there may be some of those that may not be truly not negotiable. Hopefully that is the case, because I can read in this email and a lot of correspondence that we receive a deep sense of sadness about the situation that different people are in the various parts of the world they're living in. And I understand that. But somewhere along the line, something has to give. Otherwise, nothing will change. And I think what's really important is to identify the victories that you can be part of in the place that you go to. What are the things that drive you? What are the things that you can bring to that country so that you can move forward in a positive way? Recently, I've talked a lot about bamboo. That's what really drives me. Not the actual bamboo, but the fact that as metal prices continue to go crazy around the world, and as we move to a certain point in time where if things kick off in any of the various spots that they're playing their games, if they do really kick off, metal prices will be absolutely unattainable. The concept that I would be able to go out into a field, plant some bamboo, and in a period of time come back and have a resource that could mostly represent a house that I could build, that's really exciting to me, and it's really empowering. I get joy and energy from that. There's some people that feel insulated from that sort of need. They think, well, why would I want to do that? I've got sufficient resources banked up somewhere that it's never going to touch me. If you think you're that insulated, good luck to you. But even if you have got sufficient resources that you never have to worry about the cost of building a house, regardless of how high the metal or other material prices are, there's always the issue of heating and cooling your house, because lo and behold, there's forces further afield of this particular country who are clanging the bell about energy and that the country needs to upgrade its electrical systems and all that sort of thing. So it's not difficult to see on the horizon that there'll be certain things that may come along that may compel the current cheap energy prices here to skyrocket. That has been the case in many other parts of the world, and there's certain activities that people are very fond of in this day and age that will probably contribute to a drastic increase in the demands for power right here in Paraguay and around the world. Regardless of whether you're just into building alternative, comfortable dwellings, somewhere along the way, I think it's going to catch up with us. But that's just what drives me. And the thought of being in a country where I can play a part in the spread of that practice, so that hopefully in time the country can embrace a way of doing things that can insulate it from the things that many of us are observing in the countries that we're leaving and hoping to leave behind. Well, that really spins my tyres. It's what really motivates me. What I would say to you, or anyone that's thinking about what we've done, regardless of whether it's Paraguay or wherever, is be very intentional and thoughtful about what you're looking for. And I think that if you are realistic and fair in what you ask for in terms of a country that you're looking to relocate to, well, there's still probably a window of opportunity to go and do that thing. But where's it all headed in the long term? Where's all this going? Is it even worth the effort? Well, I have a particular worldview about the way all this is heading and where it's going to end up. It's probably outside the scope of this video, or perhaps even our channel, but I don't really obsess too much over that train of thought, because the journey is good enough for me. I'm happy enough to be in a country where I can see avenues that I can either dampen or outright subvert the forces that are trying to push themselves in this country, and do it in a way that can help myself, my family and others live a more enjoyable, sustainable, comfortable life. That's good enough for me. The journey is good enough. That's what gives me energy and enthusiasm and an assurance in knowing that Paraguay is the right place for me and my family. The rest is up to God, perhaps fate, whatever it is that you subscribe to. But there are certain things that, one way or another, are outside of our control. So we can only do what we can do with what we've got available to us. And what we've got available to us is our common sense and our ability to discern what's really important, as opposed to kind of what would be nice, but if we can't have it, we can live without it. I really do appreciate this chap's dilemma. I can read the kind of pain in his correspondence. I see it quite commonly, but his discontent to me is very understandable. Living in Europe and watching the country that I'm sure he loved going in the direction that it is, along with just about every other country that I know of, will not find the perfect place. Paraguay is definitely not perfect. You want to come to a place like this and feel blessed that you're in the right place, to see the benefits, the freedoms and opportunities, to see what you can bring and contribute to the place, and to live a relatively happy, meaningful life. I think that's probably as good as we're going to get. And that's where we're at, and it's good enough for us. Just enjoy the journey and get on with it. And one way or another, it's all going to work out, I promise. I wish that person all the very best, and anyone else that's in that situation. And until next time, take care. Ciao.